Welcome to the Mentorship Podcast, the show where the mentoree becomes the mentor. Welcome to the Mentorship Podcast. This episode is a very special one to me because I have one of my near and dear friends, and this podcast is designed to really have my mentors who also came to my mentorship many years ago. The mentoree becomes the mentor. Have them on a show where we can talk openly and kind of share some of the conversations that we have since the mentorship to really highlight the journey and the journey to being awesome and getting what you want out of life and all the things that go along with it. But Jordan Jeske, I've had you on this podcast. I'm having you on this podcast because I think there's a tangible that you bring that I'm addicted to it, man. I'm addicted to it. When I see what you're putting out to the world and the way that you're just so freely expressing, all the great tools that you have, and with absolutely zero, you don't even look for you're not even gonna say sorry. You're just gonna keep doing what you're doing, and you're gonna do it your way, and the world loves it. So I wanted to share your story and kind of get a feel for the journey that you went on to get to where you're at and the journey that you're continuing on, and share with my audience. So Jordan Jeske, how's it going?
Not too bad, Jay. Thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited to sit down and chat.
Well, we are going to do exactly that. That is what the show is all about. It seems kind of weird to do this in a podcast form because normally we do this in person or over the phone, but to do it in this format, I think it's valuable because in a casual conversation, sometimes you'll just kind of, oh, you know what I'm talking about. Well, maybe the person doesn't know what you're talking about. And you kind of gloss over certain things because you're just in casual conversation. But on a podcast, we really want to, take each element and break it apart and into its finite pieces and deliver it as a message. So I think that that's exactly what we can accomplish here on this podcast. And I can't wait to get into it. So tell me a little bit, it was obviously many, many years ago since you came to the mentorship, but since then, the growth that you've made. Out of all the mentorees that I've had, I don't think I've had anybody kind of take the bull by the reins like you have and really, charge forward and create things that I'm jealous of. I see what you're doing and I go like, I'm actually jealous of the golf project, the golf society, the things that you're creating. I'm like, I want that. And now I'm looking to you as inspiration to really inspire me to do my next project. So, maybe share a little bit with you, like where'd you get these custos from, buddy? Where'd you get this like, I don't care what people think, I'm just going to get this thing done and do it my way. Where did that come from?
Thanks, Jay. I appreciate it, buddy. Honestly, I think, and I don't even remember, I was actually watching a hockey game on TV and I don't remember whose stick they were zooming in on, but on the stick, they had two sticks, and on one stick on the tape, it said, if not me, then who? And then on the other one, it said, if not now, then when? Wow. And ever since I saw that and I took a picture of the TV, I was like, okay, that hit me hard. And I guess just like, as I've been my own boss and as I got into personal training, I never really thought I was a creative guy. Like I was a journeyman carpenter beforehand. You told what to do, just get it done. And that's it. But as I've taken the leap into entrepreneurship and personal training and now into gym ownership, your creative juices, they kind of just naturally have to, especially if you want to grow your business. And so as I kind of saw that saying and that mantra, I've kind of just taken that with everything I do in my life. So if I want to see something happen, or like, man, this would be super cool if, there was an event like this or somebody did this, rather than just sitting back and waiting for somebody to do it, I was like, well, why can't I do that?
Yeah.
I was like, I can do it. And so, and it just came from, no fear. And obviously there's, stress and anxiety and other things that come with trying something new or being creative. But in the end, I look at it as a way, as a learning experience. If it doesn't work out, or just pivot and be like, okay, I'm going to go this direction now. And just that way to success, as most of us know, is never in a straight line. So that's kind of the base of it. I always come back to that quote, if not me, then who? And if not now, then when?
Wow. That's powerful. You are the king of pivot. You should have been a basketball player, because you can pivot. Every time I speak to you, every time I see you, you've made, I mean, there have been times where we've had tough conversations where you've made some massive pivots, where you had to make massive pivots, but then you've also made some creative ones where I'm like, so what's going on with the Golf Society? And then instantly you're like, oh, you know what? We're doing something a little differently now, and it's taken off. It's going crazy. So, but it seems like everything you do, there seems to be a magnetism from your community, from when you're doing your stairs. I don't know if you're still doing your stair workouts with your community, but that right there was an example of lots of people run stairs with their clients, but it seemed to become like this almost like a cult of people that would follow you up these stairs. And maybe it's just that you documented it and you documented it in a creative way, but it seemed to the outside that you'd really done something different. Where do you, like, when you get these ideas, do you ever think like, well, what if people don't like this? Like, I'm always worried that people aren't going to like the stuff that I put out. Like this podcast, I don't know if someone's going to like it, but I know somebody will, but I don't know if it's going to, like, catch on. Or how do you deal with that?
Well, I think for me, it's like, yeah, there's always that fear, right? There's been times where I've launched an event or did a class that didn't get the uptake that I thought. Usually with ideas, like I have my go-to friends and people that I kind of just like, hey, what about this idea? What about this idea? Do you think it's good? What should I change? Like people to kind of poke holes in some of those things. But in the end, like for me, it's tough, especially with social media now these days, with people, with likes and comments and engagement. You have to think like you're your own expert within your own community. So whether it gets 100,000 or 100 or 1,000 likes or 10 likes, hopefully those 10 people are really impacted by what you do. So, and I know for anything to be successful, if there is good logic behind it, there's consistency that has to be there. We teach our clients consistency is key with good, proper technique and coaching, and you guys will get the results if you persist. So it's one of those things where you have to, the first event or the first class that you do may not go the way you want it to. And I've had numerous like that. And you kind of get down on yourself, like, man, like I thought a lot more people would have showed up, but people have, other things they're doing in their life. And then all of a sudden you cancel a week maybe. And then all of a sudden your DMs flood, people being like, oh, I was going to come this week.
Yeah. Where was it?
Man,
yeah.
Like, well, you've never shown up before. You've never commented on my stuff. I didn't even know you were interested. But yeah, man, I've been following your stuff for a long time.
Right.
And so it's one of those things that reminds me of, okay, just keep on. If it's something that is, it's along with my values and what I believe, and I truly believe like I can add value to other people, then I'll continue doing it. So,
but you made a good point there. When you talk about training, you say you have to have perfect form and you got to do it right. And you have to be consistent with it. And I think that's the key to your community. They know that maybe they've never done the stairs with you before, but they've been to the Golf Society event, and they know that everything you do is going to be done right. And they know that it's going to be consistent, and they know that the quality is going to be there, and it's going to be entertaining. It's going to be fun, and that you're going to bring so much energy. So maybe it is that. Maybe it's they just trust that you could say, hey guys, we're doing plate spinning Sunday night at a Greek restaurant. And it's called the Plate Spinning Project. And and by the way, you have to wear a toga. And people are like, dude, I've been waiting for you to hold this event this whole time. So whatever you do, they're going to follow you. But you had to build that. And when I first met you, you didn't have that. Like maybe for that person who's going, well, how do I build this? I've got 200 followers on Instagram and no one even listens to me on Twitter. And, like they're going, how do I start this? I can't do this. And just like you said, if not me, then who? But how did you do that? Like that gradual build, or what was your experience with that?
I think number one thing, and what I've seen on other people's like social media platforms, or when they're, maybe when they're on a podcast or interview or just in front of other people, is one of the other quotes that I really live by and I really truly believe is people won't remember what you said or what you did, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And so for me, in every experience that I have with somebody, especially people coming through the project doors, they're getting said hello to, they're getting a smile on their face. How's it going? If they've never been here before, we really try and make sure that they feel comfortable in the space. And so that alone, like you're trying to create this experience, no matter if it's a golf event or a group class or a training session, whatever it is, you're trying to create this experience for somebody that makes them feel comfortable and confident, especially coming into a gym. It's very intimidating for a lot of people.
Right.
So if we can have them leaving being like, hey, you know what, like, don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 15. We have this, they've been at this for 5 years. You're just getting into it. But again, progress over perfection, which is our tagline for the gym. And it's just kind of just as you just, continually ingrain that in people's minds and then kind of create this enjoyable experience, it makes a big difference. So like saying someone comes in a door and be like, hey, how's it going? Welcome to the project, versus, hey, how's it going? Welcome to the project. Like, if you have any questions, here's what, like, it's that tone of voice.
There's an energy.
There's an energy.
Always do.
Right?
You that is one of your, I don't know, like one of your attributes, your superpowers that you have is an enormous amount of energy. And it comes across in your social media. It comes across in person as well. And we get along so well, which is so weird, because we can go out socially. Like we just, I was in Edmonton recently and we went out for dinner and, kind of spent an evening together, spooning. And but we went out and enjoyed an evening. And it's weird when I'm with high powered, high energy people. Sometimes I kind of either take a back seat or I have to adjust, because you can't have that. But for some reason, your energy is, it's high, but it's also complementary almost. It's not overtaking the room in a way. So were you always that guy, like in school, in high school? Where'd you learn these kind of social communication styles?
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's, growing up, I did play basketball and sports and stuff like that, and kind of always kind of gravitated towards that leadership role and on teams. Like I said, I don't really think I when I was with friends, you're having a good time and everyone usually is a little more relaxed around their own group of friends and stuff. But yeah, I didn't really notice it until, I started doing personal training, and you're forced to adapt and become like this, right? And become this chameleon for different clients, depending on their personalities. And so I think it's something that's kind of slowly grown over time. I would say I probably get like that attribute mostly from my mom. Like as I've seen her kind of as an adult, interact with more people, she's very similar. Like she's easy to go up to and approach. And so I'd probably say that's coming from there too.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a skill that I've learned over time. That wasn't always easy. And people even say like, man, it's like, you're so comfortable even in like front of the camera. And I've been trying to teach my coaches to like do more stuff and kind of challenge them to do more speaking things and do more content. And it's like, it takes a while. And it's like, if you were a fly on the wall in the gym and listen to I don't do everything in one take. Like when I'm doing my social media stuff, right? If you were in here, sometimes you'd be like, oh dude, shut up.
Yeah, wow.
But it takes time. Right. So,
what's interesting about what you said there, kind of learning how to, pull out certain aspects of your personality or amplify certain parts of your personality as a personal trainer. Back in the day when I was on the gym floor as a trainer in like another person's gym. So it's not my community. I'm just an employee. So I know what that feels like for your staff, right? Yeah. And you're trying to match the energy of the room. Well, in my case, it was a very high-end, a lot of lawyers and investors, and then their wives, right, during the day. So hoity-toity people that were very reserved and very conservative. Well, that's just not me. I mean, me, that you can't take a stand-up comic out of a stand-up comic. So I would be like joking around, jumping around. The Beastie Boys would come on. I'd do a backspin. And the manager would just say to me, he says, Jay, like, I love your energy. It's great. And you never stop. But just so you know, if you're going to start here, you got to be that for the rest of your career, because they're going to expect that. He goes, why don't you bring it down a tone? And then you can just coast it out, because I see you burning out like this. Well, me, I'm 47 years old now. It hasn't changed. And in fact, it's even gotten worse. So, you know what I mean? It's like, if it's natural, like you said, it's something that you had to develop, but it was a natural thing that was inside you that maybe just hadn't been amplified.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing too, like for anyone that's wanting to, it's it's going out and it's just making people feel comfortable. So if you're going out and you're meeting somebody, and acquaintances or people coming in the gym, just smile and be like, hey, how's it going? Like, my name is, like, you don't have to be this massive extrovert, because I'm not always this way. Like, when I'm with my friends, I would say I'm an extrovert introvert. Like, I could easily spend a weekend at home every weekend and just like totally unwind, because I'm given so much over here in the business.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden when I get home, I'm like, okay, I need to chill the hell out. But it's just it takes time for everyone to find that, but don't overdo it, because people can notice that.
Yes.
And then I think you're gonna
if it's not you, for sure.
If it's not you, then then don't over push it, right? Find ways to be able to communicate. And I have friends that same thing. Like, they're really they can really be amped up on a video, but in person, or they're a little more mellow in person, or they can amp up themselves in their writing styles as well, or whatever it is. You got to find that outlet too, right?
Yeah, well, for instance, like, there's some great trainers that we know in our mentorship group, who don't have that. They have a more of a subtle, quieter personality, but then they give a certain level of depth that to certain clients, they're going to want that. Like a guy like Dan Kleckner, he's kind of quieter, and I've seen him train, and he's got a lot of personality, but he's not like over the top. Mm-hmm. If he's in the gym, you might not know, like, oh my God, Dan's in the room, but he attracts a certain type of client that, would just be like, oh God, when does this guy leave to one of us? Right. Like, yeah, can I get a different hour when these guys have a day off? And that's understandable. It's, each to their own. Mm-hmm. I wanted to go down a little bit of an avenue with you today about kind of when you came to the mentorship, you were, like most people, hell bent. I want to start a gym. I want to have my own space. And at the time you were working, sharing space with somebody else. And that's always tough, because you have two brands competing. You have two communities kind of colliding in the same space. You might want to play old school hip hop. He wants to play, Limp Bizkit or something. And it's just like, it is very tough, but you were in that environment. And I remember those stages that you went through trying to create your own brand and community inside that. And you had some early successes and then some early failures. Do you want to share anything about that? Because now it seems like, even though with all the, the things that are going on in the world, and I know you're just getting started on this new venture, but I have zero worries that it's not going to be a huge success. But that road to get here was not always easy. Do you want to share a little story about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those, like, I think in general, most people get their certifications as a trainer. They come out of school, and like the number one thing is, all right, I want to own my gym, right? I want to own my own gym and have my own philosophies and all this sort of stuff. And so I was, no different. So I first started training. For those that don't know, I was a journeyman carpenter for like 8-9 years. Got to a point where I just, was anxious going to work and just needed to make a change. And so I had a friend of mine that owned a small boutique gym here in Edmonton. And so, long story short, one day I just quit, took 3 or 4 months off, got my certifications, started training with him and at their gym. And I was there for about a year. And there just wasn't much of a direction on and kind of what the gym was about, what kind of stuff we did with our clients. It was just very, whatever you guys wanted to do, which was great. But, as I got into the training career, I needed something a little bit more sustainable, or just with a little bit more direction. So I had a friend of mine that was also opening up a gym. He'd done some kind of small stuff, opened up about a 2,000 square foot gym. And then I was there for about 4 years. I was never an owner, but me and another person, there's 3 of us that kind of helped grow the business together. And each of our own kind of personalities were why people, were attracted to the studio. And so we started becoming one of the, more popular boutique studios in Edmonton, and well-known as we got to know everyone. Then we had an opportunity to grow the brand. I was just getting involved, I think back in, when was it? 2013, 2014, maybe, when I started doing when I did TPI level 1 and 2 out in Vancouver. And so started getting into the golf stuff, and we were like, hey, I need a little bit more space if I really want to truly grow the golf side of things on the fitness. No one else was doing it in Edmonton. So we ended up moving from 2,000 square feet to 7,000 square feet.
Wow.
Big jump.
That's a massive jump, and a lot of responsibility to fill that 7,000 square feet.
100%. So that process, obviously there was some build out. So we ended up building a separate room that had a group class studio. The rest of the gym was personal training. And above that group class studio, there's a mezzanine where I had my golf area.
Yep.
So we had 2 hitting bays. We had a putting green. I was like, okay, now I can really like grow what I need to grow. But we didn't move in there until May. So summer starting in Edmonton, golfers are golfing. Like they want to be outside. They want to do their thing. They're not all of a sudden, going to start flocking just because we have this amazing facility.
Yeah. I want to go back indoors where I've been all winter long in Edmonton.
And practice on a fake putting green.
But I want to be indoors. Yeah.
I'm going to practice on this fake putting green versus going out to the real thing.
There's a real one right there. That's like being at a whorehouse and going, I'll take the blow up doll. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. And so the gentleman who owned it, we started noticing a few changes in him and just kind of was being a little bit more reserved. And then he started kind of getting after me about like, why is the golf, why aren't you busy and all this sort of stuff. And that was the same year I started the Golf Society as well. So I was planning our big range party on Canada Day. And anyway, so there was this like back and forth. I was like, dude, chill, man. I was like, we're probably not going to be picking up till October or November. Like we're going to have to start, it's going to be a slow process. You can't just expect yourself to, triple in size and have triple the amount of clients coming in.
Right.
Long story short, the gym only lasted 3 months. We woke up on a Monday morning and he sent an email out to everyone. We actually had chiros and physios or chiros in there, massage therapists in there as well, like different businesses. Sent an email out saying this is the last day of the gym. Peace out. And so we had clients, like I had actually Alberta Golf reached out to me about a couple weeks before that because they saw the facility. And so they're like, hey, we'd love to do an article on you guys. I was like, sweet. So I was super pumped, had the article written out, ready to submit. Boom, this happened. I had to email Alberta Golf and be like, yeah, we'll wait on that on our article, maybe in the future date, because we no longer have a gym. And so, unfortunately, there was clients who had paid up front and lost money and stuff like that. So I was at a point now where, okay, I was there for 4 years. And always even, I'd drive by, vacant buildings for lease and look inside and be like, oh, that could look, that could be a good gym and this and that. And then I just got to it. And then we had some friends of ours that owned a CrossFit gym and they had an extra bay that they weren't really using. They were just using it for open gym stuff. And they're like, hey, you know what, come here, take care of your clients for, 3-4 months, get your feet back up. And then from there we can kind of discuss. It was still in the west end of Edmonton. And so once we kind of got settled in, I was like, you know what, this is a great space, still in the west end. How do you guys feel about me subleasing, half of this bay, which was about 1,500 square feet at the time? And
the idea was that subleasing would give you a little bit more ownership over the space so that people aren't using it for other things. Like,
exactly.
This is my space. I want to put my logo, my name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And I had when the gym that I was at closed down, I had lots of other owners reach out to me to be part of their facility. And just with all those conversations, I was like, you know what, I'm at this point now where I've built up a name for myself in the fitness industry in Edmonton. I have, for the most part, a vision of what I see a studio and what I see my training product, philosophy being. And I can't have something like this happen to me again.
Yeah.
And so I need to take a little more control. But it took me, by the time the gym closed in August I didn't officially announce the gym until December. So I took those 4 or 5 months and really thought about it. I was like, you know what, as a business owner, I have a responsibility to my trainers, to my clients, that if I'm going to start this venture, that I can't be like, oh, let's start it now. And then maybe in 2 years, I may not want to do it, but that's all good. Like,
it's a full commitment.
Yeah. And I also came back to conversations we had, even now, actually, I think it was at the mentorship where it's like, people have approached you with, Jay, we'll back you. Let's create this awesome facility. But now it's like, now I got to think of overhead. Now I got to think of paying these bills where I want to train. I'm passionate about training. So it's been this roller coaster of ups and downs of finding that balance of business owner, operator, and trainer, and people wanting to train with you and you having to say no or pass them off. So it's been tough, but yeah, that's kind of, now we're here. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the project, I remember talking to you about the name, the project, and some of the things the hurdles you had to overcome, because you're so similar to me in the fact that as soon as you're going to start a new venture, I instantly picture, like, what is my logo? What is the name of it? Is it catchy? Is it going to grab people by the custos and make them want to be a part of that community? And you're the same. So going with the project and spelling it the way you did, I know it's not because you're dyslexic.
Or a hipster.
Yeah. But you again created something very simple, very effective that is going to grab people, and it does. And for instance, I think it'll be valuable for people for you to share when you come up with the project. Mm-hmm. What were those thoughts in your head that go, oh, this actually encompasses the ideals of what I'm trying to create? What is that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was thinking of like a name, I was like, well, I want it to be more than just me. So I didn't want it to be, Jordan Jeske Fitness or Get Jacked with Jeske or whatever. There was lots of cool.
Jeske. That'd be a great porn, a gay porn site.
There was a lot of ideas flowing around when I came up with that. Maybe that'll be a different program we'll offer in the future, but
and it might double your sales.
Exactly. Yeah. But when I started coming up with the project, I wanted to kind of sound cool. I want to be like, hey, where are you going tonight? Well, guys, we're going to the project. And be like, oh, shit, what's the project? I want people to inquire about it. I want people to, like, if I'm going to Jordan Jeske's fitness factory, well, it's a fitness gym probably. So they don't ask any more questions where I'm like, hey, if I'm going to the project, people will ask, but what's the project? Oh, it's this gym I go to. And so
you're like, I just came out of the projects. Why would I want to go back into it?
Yeah. And so for me, the project encompasses my philosophy on my life, on my training, and what I want to do with my clients. So a project is a collaboration of one or more people working to improve upon or create something new. And that's what I view when I have, especially golfers coming into the gym. I'm going to look at, okay, we take them through our movement screens, our power screens, and all these different things we do. And then we look at their body and be like, okay, what's like the low hanging fruit? What's like that number one thing that we have to do first before we start getting all the fancy stuff? And so you have to put it in these mesocycles, these projects of, okay, the first, 4 to 6 weeks or X is going to be this project. This is what we're going to focus on. I know you want to be here, but we have to do this first. And so it gives me this guideline of how I do my training. And then even for like the group classes, there's so many people that don't have the support system like you and I do. And then the things you've given us as mentorees to be able to have the support to think about that they can dream bigger and achieve what they want to achieve. So the project, as they build strength, they get confident in the gym. I'm hoping that translates to the rest of their life and saying, hey, you know what? I can actually maybe take that leap and search the career that I really want to have. It's not going to be easy, but again, I can set my life and my career in these steps or projects that will eventually, hopefully, get me to the point where I want to be. So that's kind of the thought process behind it. And I think and it fires me up. It's something that it gives me meaning. And if I don't have meaning, it's kind of, well, why am I doing this in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love it even comes back to your roots of being, a carpenter. And working like there's an order to it. You can't just build the roof frame. You got to build the foundation first, and then you build the next thing. And it's like, what project are we working on today? Today we're working on the outer walls, and you start putting these things together. I had a similar thing happen just recently when we closed the lab. As a brand, the lab was from my TV show, the Jason Glass Performance Lab, where I was in the lab coat doing experiments on exercise, kind of like Bill Nye the Science Guy, right? So then when I started a gym for juniors, I thought, well, if we call it a lab, it's a laboratory where we're going to try to, do experiments on kids. Don't put that in your advertising, by the way.
Yeah.
We're going to do experiments on kids and then try to formulate a way of making them load and explode. So then with that gone, then I'm like, okay, well, now what do we have? So then I had to quickly come up with something similar to that because I believe in that philosophy. So I came up with the compound. And the compound is an idea of like, when you're in a laboratory, you put all these elements together and you create a compound, and that compound can be used for various uses. But it's also like a place to go. Like you said, like we're going to go to the compound. We train at the compound. Like people are going to, what the hell's the compound? And then my wife goes, that sounds like a cult. And I go, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And she's like, this sounds like Waco, Texas. And I'm like, I'm okay with that. She goes, this is perfect for
everybody's welcome.
Yeah, everybody's welcome at the compound. You might not leave, but you're welcome to come. Sure, come on in. Yeah. So that's the thing, is we're so similar that way. We both think the same way of like, if I'm going to create something, it wasn't about, what's the lease, like all those things are important. What's the lease? What's the deal that I'm going to get? How long is my lease? Where am I going to get the equipment from? Am I going to put what kind of flooring in? That's what most normal people think about. You and I think about how cool is the shirt going to be?
Yeah.
But that, in the end of the day, you could have all those things that everybody else worries about and have them just perfect and fail.
Yeah.
If you don't have something that people are really going to get excited about. And that's what you did with the Golf Society. Yeah. I want you to touch on that because that is the one, like every mentorship that I hold, I always share the story of the Golf Society, because I think it's one of the most ingenious things to happen in the golf industry. And I don't understand why there's not one in every single city across North America. Tell them a little bit about how you created like a social, like you created a golf community that you made golf cool in Edmonton.
Jay, can I quickly backtrack to your last statement on the gym? I just had a good idea that I just want to share with people too.
Absolutely.
So when I started the gym, I didn't have the fanciest equipment. I didn't take out a massive loan. I started with like 2 half racks, a couple dumbbells, couple kettlebells.
Me too.
Right. And so I think people that are looking into potentially opening up their own business or want to open up their own gym, they look at social media and these fancy, like you said, all these businesses that have all that stuff don't necessarily make it.
No,
they have now this massive amount of overhead that now they have to pay for, and now their prices raise up because they're just trying to pay for the overhead. So for me, it's all about people over profit. And so as we've grown, I've been able to buy more equipment.
Yes.
So I don't have loans. I don't have all this sort of stuff. And so I had a girl come in actually last summer, and we finally had all of our nice kind of, full racks and stuff like that. And she's like, oh, like you guys actually have a gym now.
Yeah.
And I was annoyed by her comment, but I knew what she meant.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
compliment.
Yeah, it was a compliment. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm not trying to have the fanciest gym. I'm not trying to get there first. I just want to be the last one standing. And so
going back, just one sec, going back to you being a carpenter. If I hire a finishing carpenter to come to my house and do something, and they show up in a truck that's worth $100,000 and it's got like the writing on the side, it's got the big rims and everything, I'm like, you can just leave.
Yeah.
Because your truck is worth more than you. There's no way you're doing enough business for that. And that's what a fancy gym is to me. It's a fancy truck when all they need to do is carry some 2x4s. And why do you have this like $100,000 like gemmed up truck? So that fancy gym without a community to back it up it's worthless. Yeah. But you've earned this version of it because of and you just shared the story about all those different stages to go there. But you and I, being good Canadian kids, debt aversion is and risk aversion on going to debt and not being responsible with your money.
Yeah.
That's part of our journey. And that's why we didn't take huge risks that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to touch on that. Like if anyone's listening that, is wanting to, it feels like they have to have all the fancy equipment right away. You don't find something that you can sustain that doesn't stress you out, and just slowly build your community, and you'll eventually get there. It's not a race. So. And
that's exactly what you did with the Golf Society, but less so. And like, you didn't have to start slow. You seem to just like hit the ground running with that one.
Yeah. For the Golf Society. So that strictly comes back to that same quote, if not now, or if not me, then who? So that was, I guess, tomorrow would be our 4th annual range party, but it's canceled with everything going on. So back in 2017, or I guess it would have been the year before, I approached a buddy that did some kind of cool events with some friends around the city. And that's when Top Golf was really like, 4 or 5, 6 years ago, really coming out. I was like, man, that is badass. Like, it's so good for the golf community, growing the game of golf. How can we do something like that here in Edmonton? And so in Edmonton, we have a driving range called Victoria Drive Range, right in the heart of the River Valley. So these beautiful surroundings, but right in the heart of the city too. Downtown is just up on the hill. And so I was like, hey, screw it. I was like, I knew my buddy Keenan was going to help me. I told him the idea. He's like, dude, let's do it. I'm like, all right, let's do it. And so I just reached out I called actually 311 first, the city line. I was like, hey, I just need to talk to somebody that's in charge of Victoria Driving Range. and they're like, oh, it's this lady. She gave me your number, sent an email out. And then she's like, oh yeah, let's have a chat on the phone. Then we had a phone conversation. She liked the idea. She's like, let's sit down. So me and my buddy Keenan went and sat down with her. And luckily, Angie, who our city contact is, she has the same mentality. And she was very open and receptive to our ideas. She had even some crazier other ideas, which were like, okay, this is who we're dealing with. I like it. But luckily she was really on board with that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, we just planned a outdoor driving range party. So we call them the range party experiences that we now do. And so it's outdoor. They only have a little bit of a covered area. And so we rented out couches. We brought in bottle service, music, DJs, custom targets for the driving range. And now you've created this Topgolf style feel out on the driving range for Canada Day. And then we walked out onto the driving range at the very back where no one's ever been before that first year and watched the fireworks from it. And it was just the best time. Everyone had a blast. Like, man, I've never done this before. I don't even golf. And I didn't even touch a club all night, but I had a blast. I'll be back next year. And so we've just continued to go on bigger and better each year with the range parties. We bought all of our infrastructure. So I bought 10 sets of patio furniture. We brought all the lawn games and stuff that we do, branded everything. And kind of like, Travis Matthew has their Travis Matthew experiences as well. We really are trying to, ramp that up and kind of have everything branded. And when we show up, hey, you got this full experience. It's inclusive. Everyone can show up and have some fun, whether you golf or not. So it's been a blast.
I love that. You know what? So many people, I viewed it as an original idea that had never been seen before. But in reality, in all the greats say this, you don't have to make shit up.
Yeah.
Like, just steal stuff that is already successful and you'll have success with it. Don't start something that's never been done before. Just take the best ideas from various areas and then make something. And until you just said that, I had no idea that that's where it came from. The idea of Topgolf, mixing it with the whole experience of, you buying all your own equipment and putting it all together and having DJs and that is just, it's so cool. And then you're now in a position with, with the times we have today that you can't even hold the event that started it, but the culture that you created and the community that you created behind it, you actually made, I saw the pictures of it and stuff on your Instagram, and you made golf hip.
Yeah.
You got the logo, like you're wearing the hat right now. I love that hat, by the way. The shirts, the hats, you made special ones for the Masters. You made you do all those little cool things that make a community cool. And that's the thing that a lot of people miss. So hats off to you on that one. I do want to touch on one more thing before we go. You introduced me to a really cool concept, and I've been trying to incorporate that, and it's actually incorporated in the mentorship. The idea of when you build a community like you have, there has to be intent, there has to be purpose behind it. There has to be some kind of a mission that everybody can get behind, some kind of a thing that we're all together for, and we can have an identity. So you introduced me to the idea of a culture deck, or at least defining your culture. And I never really I define my own culture. I define my own principles and my own things. And I mean, that comes across on the podcast, but to have my community have a common goal and a common reason for us gathering together, that I had never really considered before. It was always about me delivering something to others instead of us all together accomplishing something as one. So the idea of culture, the idea of creating a culture deck, maybe you could share a little bit about that, because that's another example of you being my mentor and sharing something and opening my eyes to something that I'd never considered before.
Yeah, the thoughts started flowing when I first started reading Simon Sinek's new book, The Infinite Game. And he talks about, whatever business you're in, whether it's big corporate business or where we're at, you're trying to build something that can outlast you, right? When I'm gone, can the community or can the people working with me continue moving that purpose, right? And so then I was on my way to BC and listened to a podcast called, what's it called now? Masters. Was that?
Well, you shared it with me, so I've actually got it right here.
Yeah. Masters of Scale is what it was called.
Masters of Scale. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And so it was Reid Hoffman or Reid someone else. There's two Reids. One guy was the founder of LinkedIn, and the other guy is one of the founders of Netflix. And so he was interviewing him, and they were talking about Netflix, and that's how I first heard the term culture deck. And it just hit me really hard. And I was like, man, okay, sweet. Like, how can I define, like you said, we kind of define what our own values are, and then hope to live that out in our lives. And then hopefully that like spreads to people in community, and that's, contagious, and the businesses grow and the community grows. But having a strict definition of on a page or, somewhere written out, that's like, okay, I have my core values, I have my mission statement, I have my just cause, which is a little bit different than the mission statement. And then I have kind of, for the gym and the golf society, I have different things in it based on what it actually needs. But then you just have like, I have the purposes of the group classes at the studio. Why do we set them up the way we do? They're not just random exercises thrown together. Like, I hate the word boot camp.
Yeah.
I hate it. And then like even just something as simple as like the 3 C's: coaching, culture, community. So us as coaches help to build the culture. That culture builds the community. And once you get to this point, there's this tipping point where the community just takes over and just continues to build. And hopefully, like I said, it's just this infinite thing that just continues to roll and gains momentum. And that's kind of, has really allowed me to create a clear definition of what I want as well for the business and my own life.
I kind of see it like, and this people take this the wrong way. But I don't believe in business plans. Right. I think business plans are like periodization programs, like yearly periodization. When you could spend hours and hours and hours building out a yearly periodization plan, and all it takes is one little setback and the whole thing is worthless. And then you have to adapt on the fly. Well, business plans are the same. Unless you're going to a bank and you're saying, I want money, then you need a solid business plan. But if you're like us, an entrepreneur that's self-funded, you don't need a business plan. What you need is a culture deck. You need a, what am I? What do we believe in? And what are our pillars that we're going to stand on? And the culture is the foundation of your business. So Dan Kleckner, again, to bring up Dan again, he's going to be on the podcast. He did a great job of building a similar, almost like a business plan, but it's an operations manual, because he wants to, multiply. He wants to have franchises, and he wants to be able to say, here's your franchise. This is how you do it. And you open the page and it goes, this is how we open the door. This is how we turn the lock to open the door. This is how you turn off the alarm. Like, it's an operations manual for his business. And reading that, I saw like it took him a long time to do that. It took enormous amount of work, but every person that comes to join his gym as a staff, manager, anybody that comes in, they look at that and they go, oh no, it's right there. They don't have to guess. They don't have to wonder, like, what's my role here? How do I fit in? It's like, no, here it is. This is what you do. And if you do this, we're good. A culture deck is similar. Your staff, you don't have to worry about like, does he want me to be like, a little bit more subtle because it's his client and I see him once a week? Like, should I be? There's no question. It's like, no, as long as you stay inside this parameter and you accomplish our mission, you have full and free range to do what you do best in your own ability. Yeah. So, man, that opened up my eyes. I think it's great. Cool. With the mentorship, one of the things that it brought to me was the mentorees have to become mentors, not to me. They have to become mentors to somebody. Mm-hmm. It can't just be stopping here. You can't just have a dream big, deliver on that dream big, over deliver on it, and then be undeniable. You now have to pass on those attributes to somebody else and mentor somebody else. And if we do that, now, like you said, we've created a momentum that pull me out, and the momentum continues. So that came from you, buddy. That came from you. And I thank you for it. There's so many things that you do that, I just go, like, I watch your Instagram or something. I'm like, oh, damn, I should do that. But I can't. Maybe I'll wait a month. And then it won't look like I was copying him.
Hey man, it's all good. But I think that's the thing, right? Like with any of this kind of stuff, like and that's the difference I've had to go from as a personal trainer to a business owner operator. I have to work multiple different hats and shift my perspective. And so for me, is like, even like, a lot of gyms will have people sign these, these trainer contracts or, non-compete clauses, which I think are a little silly.
They are.
But if I have them, hey guys, here's our culture deck or culture, whatever you want to call it. All I want you to do is sign this. So you're saying that you're going to uphold, you agree with the values, and hopefully your values are something similar, but you agree to uphold these standards and expectations. And now there's no like, no confusion on what the expectations are.
Right.
Like you signed it, you've gone through it.
Yep.
Let's remind ourselves every once in a while and then let's grow together. And like I told even our coaches, like, I want this to evolve as we get better, as we continue to evolve. This culture deck should change as well. It's not set in stone. And I think that's one thing that people need to understand as well, that it's like, you're allowed to change. And that's where I think people get stuck on these business plans and goals all the time.
Yes.
And they get tunnel vision, where it's like, no, that's great. That gives you, your goal is your business plan is like your lighthouse, but the path to get there can change along the way.
It has to be adaptable.
It has to be adaptable. So I think that's super important. So
yeah, I used to have a football coach that back in the day, being a running back, he used to say, we're going to have 4 running plays. We're going to have dive right, dive left, power right, power left. And I'm like going, 4 running plays? He's like, yeah, dive right, dive left, power right, power left. And we're going to run these for the first 6 games of the year. That's it. No other plays. And I'm like going, you're crazy. Now, he was a very well-respected coach, but he said, here, I'm going to coach the shit out of this. We're going to coach it so good that you're going to be able to say to the other team, by the way, this is the hole we're running through, and we're going to run through this hole. Like right now, I'm not trying to trick you. We're actually going through this hole, and we should be able to block it perfectly against any defense and be able to execute. Okay. So and he did. That's exactly, kept it simple, but the foundation was the principle behind it was solid, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So then I go, well, what if I take that into life? That same approach, do those little things really, really well, have the foundations really, really good. And that way, if you go like this, I've had business partners and I've had staff who've said, well, so-and-so just opened up a gym down the road, or so-and-so, our competitor, they've just started an academy down the road. What are we going to do? And I go, let's give them our game plan. And because we can execute it better. And I'll tell you what, if they can execute it better than us, then it's our problem. Yeah. So I'll actually send my clients to my competitor and give them props. I'll say, you know what? They're actually really good down there. You should go see them. They're like, I should? Yeah, you should. Go try it out. Go see them. And if for whatever reason you feel like there's something I can give to you, something I can add to your program or your program, like what you're trying to accomplish, I'll gladly always have you back. Well, guess what? They go down there and what do they hear? Oh, those guys don't know what they're doing. Those guys are idiots. Because I am not competing against them. I'm competing against myself. And if I can learn, if all of a sudden I send 5 people that way and 1 comes back, I got to look at my systems. And that's like, if we played 6 games and we only had 4 plays and we lost the game, we have to look at how we're executing those plays, not adding more to the pile. Yeah. I hope that makes sense. That was a long rant.
No, it 100% does. And I think that's super important because people, especially in our industry, Edmonton's a little bit different. Edmonton's pretty good. Like we do a lot of collaborations with different trainers or studios and stuff too. But I think people look at another trainer, another gym as this competition. And I think that happens when you don't have a clear vision of what you are actually trying to do in the first place and what your purpose is. I have a clear vision. We had actually, it's funny, the place where we're in right now, there's a CrossFit gym right next to me that I sublease off of. So we're still connected. There's a physio clinic, and there actually used to be, they closed down last year, but there was a 6,000 square foot gym 2 doors down from us. So we had like 4 fitness facilities right next, like in the same block, in the same building. And everyone's like, man, are you like worried about them? I'm like, well, no, one's CrossFit. So that's like completely different than what I do. The other one has a specific, they're kind of more bodybuilders. I was like, I know what my vision is. I don't need to worry about what else somebody else is doing. And if I'm losing business, then I need to, like you said, take a look back. How can I over deliver? How can I, do better at my services and things like that? But in the end, I'm not worried about what other people are doing.
No,
You always get a little bit of like, oh shit, that's a good idea. I want to add some of that in. And then like
your
you said,
avatar for your client is a different avatar to their client. Should
100%.
be.
Yeah.
It should be. And any business that starts off and says, I want everybody, like I want to be special to everybody, is going to fail, because now you're generic. You have to push the envelope, and you have to be able to be, and like your golf society events, you're not going to get a guy who wants to listen to 5440 coming to maybe they will, but you're not going to get the 65-year-old guy coming. Maybe they will. Maybe they're looking for a little piece and they, whatever. But for the most part, you created like this nightclub culture of people that were into electronic music and looking for that party time. And that's exactly the person that you attracted. Yeah. So you set your avatar for who you want to attract. You build a community and a culture around that. And guess what? Those people will come.
Yeah. Stay on brand. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, exactly. And you do an amazing job at that. Before we go, because I don't want to keep you forever, my man. And this has been so good so far. Any thoughts that you want to share to somebody watching this? Maybe just a little insight into, some of the things that you maybe learned along the journey. You've given us some great quotes and stuff that you live by, and these pillars that you live by. Is there anything that's been left on the table that maybe you want to share about your journey of the dream that you had, then over delivering on that dream?
Yeah. Like, I think number one, you have to really have a clear definition of what you want. Clear definition of what you want, but don't let that hold you back from not getting what you want either. Right. So, and knowing that it will evolve and things will change along the way. Even when opening the gym, I didn't quite know what I needed. I know that I needed to have kind of a space for my personal training clients, but the group classes have slowly evolved from like a year ago. We only had 3 or 4 during the week. Now we have 25 group classes a week. And so I've just let that kind of, run with it without trying to like be dialed in all the time.
Yeah.
So be flexible on what your visions are. And then I think an important thing for a lot of people too is, and they're like, oh, I don't have a good network or I don't know a lot of people. The more like have as many acquaintances as you can in life. Get to know a lot of people, have a lot of people know your name. You need to really work on and have good, strong relationships and foundations. But that's one of the biggest things I've done. I've gone to networking events. I've gone out to, even when I did not want to, I was like, man, I just want to stay in, but I know there's going to be people here that I'm going to want to meet. That's, a year down the line, they may come train with me, or there's going to be an opportunity there. So go out, even if it's not your cup of tea, go meet people, create your network, build it, stay true to your values and who you are. And I think that, and just know that it's not going to be a straight line, and know that it doesn't have to be perfect. But if you can create something where you're just like, hey, I just want to be the last one standing and just really are dialed in with what I believe, then you should be good to go.
I love it. You came to my mentorship. I knew you had a spark. You were one of those people that I just go, oh, he's already got it. Everyone in the room knew you already had it. All you needed was maybe just a little nudge in the right direction, or maybe just a little bit of, I don't know. Confidence isn't a word. It was just for someone to shine the mirror or the light back upon yourself of the skills that you have, so you could see what we could all see. And you've run with it. And now I feel that I'm a person, like I say, you're a mentor of mine now. You're someone that I look up to, and I keep an eye on you so I can keep my finger on the pulse of what's cool and what's happening in our industry. And you continue to do that. So I'm very, very grateful that you took the time to come to my mentorship so many years ago. But since then, the friendship that we've been able to develop, and just being able to watch you grow, and the things that the risks you take and the successes that you have, you just continue to blow me away and also inspire me to be better. So I can't thank you enough, buddy, for coming on the show, but more importantly, just for everything you've given me over the years.
No, right back at you. I appreciate all the supports whenever I've reached out and whenever we've chatted, and a good listening ear. And I think that's one thing that the mentorship, really helps with. And then just all the other mentorees, as we've gotten to know each other, through all the different events through the years, is we're all in the same boat, and to have a listening ear and bounce some ideas off of and get a different perspective can really help kind of give us the confidence to take that next step. So I appreciate you and what you've done for me too.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky to have such a cool group of people. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, buddy. Until next time, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that are wanting to reach out to you and maybe get a little bit more information about the Golf Society or the project, or maybe just your journey. If they do, what's the best way for them to meet, get in touch with you?
Yeah. So the hub is, I guess you can go to the Jeske_golf life. And then I have kind of all the Project Golf Society tabs on there, but you can also go to the project_YEG and then PROJCT, right? Because we don't know how to spell correctly. And then the Golf Society YEG as well. So those are kind of the links you can find me on there and reach out. And I'm always happy to have a conversation and share anything I've learned.
Awesome. Always a pleasure chatting with you, buddy. And we'll be able to get off this social distancing soon and have a beer again together.
100%.
And again, can't thank you enough for being on the show. And cheers, buddy.
Thanks, buddy. Cheers.